chicken Parmigiana and salad. So today we're going to be making a chicken Parmigiana with a very basic garden salad, and I'm also going to show you how to make a vinaigrette. If you don't know what a vinaigrette is, it's usually a mixture of oil and I'm using balsamic. You can use any kind of vinegar or acid. You can even use lemon juice to mix them together and make a vinaigrette. So make a salad, vinaigrette, and chicken schnitzel. This is what you will need, plus a few extra spices that I couldn't fit in on the chopping board here, but we'll cover them when we get to them. This is basically all you need. Your first step is always to prep everything, and when it comes to working with meat and vegetables, you want to use your vegetables first. Cut your vegetables first, because then you're not cross-contaminating with your knife. You can use the same knife for everything. It's just you do all your salad stuff first, and then you do your chicken or your meat last. And do it on a separate cutting board, especially if you're using a wood cutting board, just because it can hold a lot of extra sort of yucky bacteria and stuff. And you don't really dishwash chopping board, like wooden chopping boards. You kind of wipe them down with a bit of cleaning stuff. But just use a different type of cutting board. I'm using a plastic one today. If you have reservations about using a plastic cutting board, you can use a wood one. Just give it a really, really thorough washing afterwards, because you don't want to get salmonella. But yeah, that's the smallest board. Get everything ready. Chop your vegetables. Get all them ready. Get your chicken ready, which I'm going to show you how to butterfly the chicken, and then we're going to bread it, fry it. We're going to do the whole shebang today. Now, to make parmas, you are going to need a sauce, and I'm going to be using my Napoli sauce recipe, which I will link in the description under this. I'll use my Napoli sauce. You can use any sort of pre-done sauce out of a bottle or a can if you like, if that's what you want to do. But if you do my Napoli sauce recipe and you do it in a big batch, it freezes really well. You can just chuck it in the freezer and defrost some as you need it. And then you can use it for stuff like this when it comes around. If you feel like parmas, if you feel like pizza, you throw it out and it's ready to go. I'm going to be using my Napoli sauce recipe. You can use kind of whatever sauces you like. If you want to get creative with it, you can make barbecue style parmies where they just use barbecue sauce and like bacon, and if you want to get it creative, add some onion and do some, get creative with it. But I'm just going to do a very standard parma, which is Napoli sauce, ham, and cheese. I'm using the sort of nicer mozzarella. When you're using this though, you only want to use a tiny bit of it, because it's got a very high moisture content. So you just kind of have to be not so crazy with it. When you use a shredded mozzarella, like a light sort of skim mozzarella, you can put more of that on. If you love your cheese and you want more on there, use skim. Otherwise, it's just going to end up with a really wet mess. So we'll get to that. All right, so now we're going to just sort of prep everything, get everything ready. Alright, so now I'm going to show you how to cut and butterfly a chicken breast, to be more specific. This is your chicken breast. Your butter is very thick, and if you try and bread and fry that like I'm going to do it, you're going to end up with a really dry outside or a burnt exterior, and it's going to be almost raw, if not still raw in the middle. So what I'm going to do to fix this is just you're going to find that middle point of the chicken. So you sort of flip it on its side, you find that middle point, and then you're just going to cut straight down the center, but you do not cut the whole way through. You want to leave a little hinge. So what you do, like that. And then if you even want to go crazier than that, you can cut down like that way and butterfly them further. But I'm going to do something else instead, and I'm just going to beat the crap out of this to flatten it out and make it really nice and flat. You can do this in a few different ways. You can have meat tenderizers, which are like these little meat hammers with the spikes in the end of them. But you honestly don't even need that. You can use a rolling pin. I'm going to use a rolling pin. So I'm going to grab that, and you also put a piece of baking paper on top of that. You're not getting stuff all over your rolling pin and that. And then you just beat the crap out of it, place it on your plate, ready to go. Alright, so I lied. I don't even know where my rolling pin's gone. I've searched the kitchen for it, and we're going to have to improvise. This is something you can use a heavy glass for. You just have to use a bit of gusto, a bit of force. But yeah, I've got my parchment paper on top, just to cover that up. And then it's better to do this with a meat thing or a rolling pin, but like I say, you've got to improvise sometimes. No idea where it's gone. I know it's here somewhere. I just Don't know right now. Anyway, and you can just beat the crap out of it. And you just flatten that. Right out. Probably a bit more. And would you look at that? That is much thinner now. So now if I move this off to the side, show you, that is much thinner. And that's kind of what you want. You want that to be, so when it cooks evenly and it doesn't dry out and the outside doesn't burn while the inside stays moist. So you're just going to do that with all your, repeat that with all your chicken breasts, and you'll be good to go. All right, so now we're going to get ready to bread, or we are ready to bread. This is just a cup of flour, 2 to 3 eggs, and a cup of breadcrumbs. To the breadcrumbs, I'm also going to add, you don't have to add this because it's going to taste good either way, but this is 2 tablespoons of salt, a tablespoon of paprika, tablespoon of onion powder, tablespoon of garlic powder, and a tablespoon of cayenne pepper. Half a tablespoon cayenne pepper, actually, not a full one. And I just find it adds a little bit of extra flavour to the breadcrumbs. So I'm going to add this in, give it a little mix. And once you've added that in, you just, it's flour, egg, breadcrumbs in that order. Put them on a plate, and we'll get ready to fry them. So it's just flour. Put it in slow too, so you don't get flour everywhere. Make sure it's nice and evenly coated. Sometimes you have to do another flip. Sprinkle some on top. Then we're going to go into our egg. Probably a bit too much egg there. That's fine, we'll wipe that up. And then into our breadcrumbs. Nice and coated. It can always be easier to do this in big bowls if you've got a heap of big bowls, but I just do them on plates, doesn't really matter too much. And then you'll have a nice evenly crumbed piece of schnitzel like that. That's perfectly fine. And now you just repeat that with the remaining schnitzels. Alright, so now we've got our schnitzels breaded and our station set up. Sauce is over there, just sitting there, and I've got the pasta from the Napoli sauce video just sitting there. That's going to be another side alongside the salad. So we're going to cook. Before you start though, get yourself a favour and get yourself a baking tray with a piece of baking paper on it. Trust me, put the baking paper on it. Your future self when you're doing dishes later will thank you. You don't have to scrape burnt cheese off of the pan. You just pull the paper straight off and it's good to go. Alright, so we're going to turn the heat on here to full. Get it on high heat just to get everything warming up. Add quite a bit of oil. You want not to coat the base of the pan, but you want a little bit extra in there too. But you don't want too much because when you put the schnitzels in, the oil is going to displace quite a bit. And what that'll do, when it displaces, it'll raise the level a little bit. So should just be just right, you know. Now, so what we're going to do is let that sort of heat up for a second, get that to a nice high heat before adding your first schnitzel. Right, so that oil should be nice and ripping hot now. So we're going to add in our schnitzel and you lay it away from you. So if any oil flicks away from you. There's probably still not quite hot enough. You'll let it go, but it won't matter because the oil will still be hot enough, and just let it go. It's also probably a tiny bit too much oil, but like I said, it won't matter once you flip it. You just let that cook. About here is where you want the temperature. I had it, just put it in a little bit too early. I jumped the gun a little bit too much, but that doesn't matter. Where it's just at that fizzling point where it's not like ripping hot, but it's just enough that it's going to cook the chicken all the way through while also crisping the outside of the chicken. You can play with the temperature as you go. If it gets too hot, take it off the burner, turn the temperature down for a second, you'll be right as rain. And then you can put it back on and you'll be fine. So you're just going to let this cook each side a couple of minutes. Now where we've got the temperature now, it's probably airing on the side too hot. I've just turned it down a little bit. Now it's starting to settle back down, but it's starting to spit up and go a bit crazy. You don't want that. that oil will be too hot and it'll burn the outside and the inside won't be cooked enough. It should be just about ready to flip now. You can tell it'll be ready to flip. You just grab a corner, lift it up, and you see that it's nice and brown on the other side. Yeah, there you go. That's what you want. So now it's starting to flip. Let the other side cook for another couple of minutes. And I said just check it. Keep an eye on that temperature, make sure it doesn't get too hot. And you don't want to let it go too cold either, otherwise it'll go soggy, but you can keep that oil in that sort of roughly right range and you'll be good. Alright, so this schnitzel is now done, so you can take this out now. Give it a second to sort of drain off. And you can place it in your tray. And now you just have to go with the remaining schnitzels and you'll be good to go. Alright, now that your schnitzels are cooked and they're placed on their baking tray, they're ready to go to be topped. And like I said, you can top these in a million different ways, but I'm just doing the classic sauce, ham, and cheese. This is the ham I'm using because I already had it in the fridge. You can use shaved ham, like straight off the leg bone. You can use whatever ham you like. You can use bacon if you feel like it. But I'm just using that ham because that's what I got. Don't use like the honey leg ham, unless it might work actually. I don't know. Try it and tell me how it goes. But you can do this multiple ways. If you've got like your shaved leg ham, you can place the ham first and then do sauce on top of it, and that's going to protect the breading from getting kind of soggy and a bit wet. It's not going to really matter too much because the rest of it's so crispy. So I'm just going to do the simple sauce, ham and cheese. Now I like a lot of sauce, so you're going to see that here. I like a lot of sauce. You can put significantly less. You can even put significantly more if that's what floats your boat. So, you know, just do whatever. Put the amount on that feels right to you. Like mine, like heart attack levels, like super amount of sauce. I love it. Love heaps of sauce. So now they're sauced up, bit of ham. Same thing here. You can put as much as you like. I like an even amount. Don't like to go too crazy. And then your cheese. This, because I said at the start, this is like a high moisture cheese, so you should probably be a little bit more cautious with how much you're putting on. Just an even layer. I cut this like quite thin, so just an even layer on top. You don't have to do too much more than that. Same thing on the other one. And these are now ready to go into the oven at 220 degrees. Make sure you preheat it at the start. Should have mentioned that at the start, but I'm mentioning it now. As high as the oven will go. Because the chicken's already cooked, all you're really trying to do is get this cheese melted and a little bit of brown on it. So put these in the oven, highest temperature, which for my oven is 240 degrees. So put that in as high as your oven will go to get that brown on there. And I'll show you how to do a salad and a vinaigrette. All right, now we're gonna make the vinaigrette for our salad and salad itself. So vinaigrette, typically 50-50, you can measure these things out. I'm just going to eyeball it. So about half oil, half balsamic vinegar. I like balsamic vinegar, that's my favourite. Now don't worry, this will emulsify in a sort of sense and won't be so separated. But I also like about half a tablespoon of Dijon Mustard and Clove of Garlic. Then you just give that a whisk. And you're seeing that slowly start to come together. And there you go. And then you just season that to taste with salt and pepper. I'm just going to put a little bit of salt in there for now. There you go. And then we're going to get ready to assemble our salad. So we'll put this off to the side. And we'll get ready to assemble our salad. All right, now we've got everything we need to plate our salad. So to plate your salad, you start off with your leafy greens in the base of the bowl. And then you're just sort of dressing it up nice. So a little bit of shredded carrot, a little bit of tomato, some capsicum, and then some red onion. And then you just sort of mix it all up and jump it all up. That's your salad. It's not like the crazy prettiest salad in the world, but it is a good garden salad. And you add your dressing as you serve it, because if you leave it in there, it's going to kind of get a bit soggy. But that's your salad. Now we're almost at the final part of this journey. And oh, would you look at them. Finished Parmas. That is exactly how you want them. That nice little bit of brown spotting on top. It's not burnt. There's little crispy edges. That is, like, to me, the perfect Parma. And so now what we're going to do is we're going to plate it up, and we're going to plate it up real nicely with the salad that we made, and then we'll be good to go. So the first thing we're going to do is add a nice spoonful of our salad. Make sure you get a bit of everything in there. Oh yeah! Would you look at that? Now that is like a crazy, humongous, good meal. You can cut that Parma in half, and that'll still be a decent meal. You can put this with chips as well. You want chips and salad. You can do this with pasta as well. And shout out to my Napoli video. All of it can be done like that. And final sort of bit of icing on the cake, a little bit of vinaigrette. Top of the salad. A little bit of parsley. A little bit of shaved Parmesan. Top of the salad. And that will be awesome. That's everything that you could want in a Parma and a basic salad. And now, if you don't mind it, if it's all to you, I'm going to go eat this, and I'm going to love every single minute of it, and I'll talk to you next time.